Hi and welcome back. About 3 months ago, I reviewed this product right here called Adipeau. Adipeau is a face cream which promises to help restore lost facial fat or facial volume. I initially heard about this product from my friend Claire, who has the channel The Honest Channel. Claire did a video in which she interviewed the founder of Adipeau, Ivan Galanin. And watching Claire's video, I was equal parts very skeptical and very intrigued. Now, while I do not want to waste a whole bunch of time obsessing over the aging process, I of course want to look my best. And one thing that has happened as I'm aging is that I have lost quite a bit of volume in the lower part of my face. And if I lose a couple of pounds because I'm more active or I'm ill, then I start looking gaunt and sickly. So when I heard that there was a product which again promises to help restore lost facial fat or facial volume, as skeptical as I was, I ordered a couple of these right away after watching Claire's video. And as soon as this arrived, I started using it as directed. Now, my friend Claire and I actually started using Adipeau around the same time. So we said we would use it for 3 months and then review it. In those initial 3 months, there were times when I looked in the mirror and thought, yes, this is working. And other days I thought, nope, this is not doing anything. And if you take a look at my before and after pictures, after using Adipeau for 3 months, you can see that really not much has happened. There might be the tiniest difference under my eyes, but the difference is so small, it might just be lighting. Because keep in mind, I am not a professional photographer. So seeing my after pictures after using Adipeau for 3 months, I have to say I was disappointed. However, I had gotten so many comments and emails from many of you telling me that this is the best thing since sliced bread. Some of you called this life-changing, and some of you even sent me before and after pictures, and I have to say they were quite impressive. And if you look at my friend Claire's before and after pictures, she too got decent results in the 3 months of us using this. So encouraged by your comments, emails, before and after pictures, and Claire's results, I decided to continue using this. However, in the first 3 months, I only applied this under my eyes, above my lip, and right here onto the lower part of my cheek. However, when I talked to Ivan, he told me I wasn't using enough product and that I should apply Adipeau all over my face. Now, Ivan says we should apply this like a mask. And his explanation for that is that if we rub in Adipeau, it only gets absorbed by the stratum corneum, the outer layer of our skin. Versus if we apply this like a mask, Ivan says, the product travels down the hair follicle and gets absorbed deep into the subcutaneous tissue. Now, I did come across some studies where certain medicine was applied in that way for better absorption. But I am skeptical that rubbing this in rather than applying it like a mask would actually make a difference. However, that is how I have been using it for the last 3 months. I also used it that way for the first 3 months. But again, I was not using enough product, according to Ivan, and I only applied it under my eyes, above the lip, and right here. So for the last 3 months, I have been using a fairly thick layer of this, applying it all over my face, excluding the forehead, since there is not a lot of fat to begin with on our forehead, but I have been putting it onto my lips. So for the last 3 months, again, I have been using a fairly thick layer, applying it like a mask all over my face, including my lips, excluding the forehead. However, I have done so only once a day, because to be honest, I'm not too fond of the formulation. This is a somewhat thick and occlusive cream, and I did feel using this at night was messing with my evening skincare routine. So I stopped using this at night and I've only been using this once a day, first thing in the morning. So what I will do is I will get up, brush my teeth, splash some cold water onto my face, then I apply this the way I just described. I let it sink in for a couple of hours. So in that time I walk my dog, I exercise, I eat breakfast. After all of that I take a shower, wash my face and do my regular morning skincare routine. I figured if this really travels down the hair shaft, a couple of hours should be plenty of time for it to do so. So that is how I have been using Adipeau for the last 3 months. But before we take a look at my 6 months after pictures, let's take a look at which ingredients in here promise to help restore facial fat or facial volume. Here's a little clip of the interview I did with Ivan Galanin.
So really the two active ingredients with respect to the dermal adipocytes are the safflower seed oil and the Campharia parviflora extract or black ginger. And these are balancing each other. So on the one hand, the safflower seed oil has linoleic acid and oleic acid, and these are very weak adipogenic agents. So they enter the cell, go into the nucleus, and hit a receptor called the PPAR gamma nuclear receptor, and it triggers a transcription program that converts immature fat cells into mature fat cells. And Campharia parviflora complements that adipogenic activity by increasing the number of PPAR gamma targets that are available for the safflower seed oil. So initially that was the idea. Those two would work together by stimulating adipogenesis. But what I didn't realize when we made the formula was that Campharia parviflora had a really important other activity, which is to reduce the size of the adipocytes. It actually causes them to release lipid, making them smaller. And why is this important? Because when fat cells get too big, they stop promoting adipogenesis.
So as Ivan just mentioned, the two main active ingredients in Adipeau are safflower oil and black ginger extract. And as Ivan said, safflower oil is rich in linoleic and oleic acid. Now I went down the rabbit hole of research trying to find some studies regarding linoleic and oleic acid and adipogenesis, which is the formation of adipocytes or fat cells from stem cells. And I came across quite a few studies in which these fatty acids were ingested. However, I also came across this in vitro study on lecithin, and linoleic acid and oleic acid are components of lecithin. So in this study, lecithin was applied topically to adipocytes from different animals. And it did show that there was an effect on adipocyte differentiation. I also came across another in vitro study regarding black ginger and adipogenesis. And once more in this study, adipocytes from different animals were used, and black ginger was applied topically to these adipocytes. And once more, it did show that there was an effect on adipocyte differentiation. However, these studies were not done to determine the effect on facial fat, but rather to try to find ways to improve various metabolic disorders. Now, Ivan does provide his own study on his website. So this study is sponsored by Adipeau. And in this study, Adipeau was applied topically to 75 human volunteers ranging from age 18 to age 75. And the results look very promising. Aside from the study Ivan and his team performed, Ivan does provide quite a few links to somewhat related studies on his site. But studies and skepticism aside, let's take a look at my after pictures after using Adipeau now for 6 months. Now again, please keep in mind I am not a professional photographer, so there might be some differences in lighting which are not intentional. So I have to say, looking at my after pictures, I can actually see a difference, especially in my under eye area. If you take a look at my before picture, you can see that my under eye area looks somewhat hollow and the skin is quite thin. In the after picture, I feel that the hollowness is filled in quite nicely and my skin looks thicker. And then if we go to the lower part of my face, while I'm still somewhat sunken in, of course, in the after picture, I do think there is a tiny bit of a difference. Now let's take a look at my under eye area up close. And again, looking at the before picture, I can see that I am sunken in under my eyes. There's almost an indentation next to my nose, versus in the after picture, that indentation is almost completely filled in. Again, I think that my skin looks thicker under my eyes and the hollowness is gone. Now let's take a closer look at my lips, because as I mentioned earlier, I have also been putting Adipeau on my lips. And I apologize, there's definitely a bit of difference in lighting here. The after picture is a lot more red than the before picture, including my lips. But I can definitely see some plumping of my lips in the after picture. And then let's take one more look at the full face. And just looking at my full face without focusing in on the under eye area or the lower cheek area, I do think in the after picture I just look healthier. And quite a few of you have actually commented under my latest videos saying that something looks different about my face and you wanted to know what it was. So as skeptical as I was, and still am to some extent, this might just be working. Now, it plumping my lips again makes me skeptical about the application process Ivan suggests. Because if this indeed needs a hair shaft to travel down, we don't have any hair follicles on our lips. Yet as you can see in my after picture, after using Adipeau for 3 months on my lips, it definitely plumped up my lips. And of course, I'm not wearing any lip plumper or anything in the after picture, nor am I wearing any makeup or concealer. In fact, I don't even own concealer. So this might just be working. Like I said, looking at my after pictures, I am actually positively surprised. Now, of course, I did have Sculptra, which I made quite a few videos on. And Sculptra is a biostimulator, which helps restore lost facial volume. However, as I said in my first review video of Adipeau, I did not start using Adipeau until 2.5 months after my last Sculptra injection. And it takes about 6 weeks for Sculptra to kick in. Of course, it could be that it took longer. But where I'm seeing the most difference is under my eyes and on my lips. And I only had Sculptra injected in the lower part of my face, so right here. And then the only other thing I have done differently in the last 3 months is I have been using a new microcurrent device called Skeenpatch, which I also made a couple of videos on. And I just recently talked to the founder of Skeenpatch, Dr. Huang Enagin, who told me that one of the functions of microcurrent was to regenerate cells. All cells, she says, skin cells, bone cells, and fat cells. So microcurrent can regenerate fat cells. However, I have been using microcurrent quite regularly for over a decade, so I don't think that that made the difference. So again, as skeptical as I still am to some extent, this might just be working. I am going to continue to use this for another 3 months. So this is, I believe, my 5th bottle. I have 2 more coming my way, which should last me for another 3 months. After 3 months, I will update you again and then probably stop using this because this is not cheap. And Ivan even says that this is not something we have to use forever. So I hope this video was helpful. If I haven't heard from you and you use this, please let us know down below your experience, positive or negative. Or one more thing, talking about negative. Some of you told me that you really reacted to this cream in a bad way. So Ivan said there was a somewhat irritating preservative in here, which could have caused those reactions. And he changed the formula. So he took out the irritating preservative and replaced it with a less irritating one. So if you have been wanting to try this but reacted to the old formula, it might be worth a trying the new formula. Surprisingly, I have a very sensitive skin and I have not had any problems with the old or new formula. So again, if you reacted to the old formula, it might be worth a trying the new one. So I hope this video was helpful. Thank you so much for being here. Any questions or comments, of course, leave them down below. I always love to hear from you. And that's it for this video. Until next time, bye.